Hello, welcome to Joy News Today, coming live to you from our studios here in Kukumimle. My name is Sweetie Abochi. In our headlines this afternoon, National Identification Authority investigating more than 100,000 people for attempted multiple registration. We have details as the authority says it is now ready to register Ghanaians living abroad. Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative asks for parliamentary inquiry into government's gold for oil policy. In business news, government misses T-bills target for 7th consecutive week, but interest rates ease across the yield curve. We are on DSTV channel. We are on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Stay with us. We have business news, sports news, showbiz, and world news all in this 1 hour package. My name is Sweetie Abochi. You want to stay for details. In our first story, the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative is demanding a parliamentary inquiry into government's gold for oil policy, citing lack of accountability of the project. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia on Sunday gave fresh details about how he convinced an unidentified businessman to purchase gold worth 3.1 billion Ghana cedis from the vault of the Bank of Ghana. In spite of the Vice President's explanation, the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative says government is yet to make more closures or disclosures on the gold for oil policy, adding that intermediaries working on the transaction remain shady. Co-chair Dr. Steve Manteo tells Joy News that a parliamentary inquiry will be required to bring more clarity on the project.
We need to understand not just only the benefit side, we need to also understand the cost dimensions. We actually undertaking this program at a certain cost, which we do not know. So I would not be satisfied if somebody told me this has been the benefit. What has been the transactional cost? And how have we financed the transactional cost? I think that would be very, very important in unearthing any acts of corruption in these transactions. Well, initially, my committee wanted the government on its own to make the disclosures. So as I indicated, and I refer viewers and listeners again to the Ghana EITI report of 2020, and I think 2021-22 also touches on this. We wanted the government on its own to make these disclosures. But since the government has failed or refused to make these disclosures, I think a parliamentary probe will be in order.
Meanwhile, spokesperson for Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia's campaign team, Dennis Miracles Abuaji, says the CSOs could file an RTI request to get the needed answers.
This was a strategy that was introduced in midstream in the middle of a crisis. Surely, there may be areas that we need to really tighten to really formalize it and institutionalize it.
He's more concerned about transparency. He says the deal is shrouded in secrecy.
I think he's overstretching it. And I like the fact that he rightly stated the cap he's wearing now. Because at this point, I think he's also mixing the caps. And I follow him on social media, I watch his comments. I don't think it's entirely objective on some of the issues that he raises. Because, I mean, we're in the space of RTI. You have a committee, right? Demand for it. There's law. If, for example, if for anything at all, it is true that you don't have access to this information, request for it. You will get it. The BOG and BOST actually produces weekly reports on gold for oil. There's nothing opaque about it. There's nothing lack of transparency about it. It's there. So sometimes I think people like to create storms in teacups. And for example, even if there is a storm, request for the information. You will get it and then you look at it.
Member of the African Union Body Against Corruption, Edem Senanu, says there is the need for a political will to fight corruption. His comments follow former President John Dramani Mahama's quest to tackle corruption head-on within his first 120 days as president. Speaking on News Desk earlier today, Mr. Senanu added legal and policy reforms will also deal with the canker.
Much more constructive for all of us if they spoke to the specific strategies they will deploy to improve our ability to deal with these scandals. So we want to hear policy reform proposal, legal reform, constitutional change, matters that allow us to make a difference going forward. Just telling us that you're going to deal with the scandals, retrieve money, will not ensure that we don't have repeat occurrences of this under a new regime. And so we need to avert our minds to the much more substantive issues of the policies in place, the legal regime, the enforcement that appears not to be happening, and what we can do differently to ensure that we don't have repeat occurrences. I worry that it tends to be all talk. And in my mind, it will be safer if, for example, you told us that in your fiscal policy, you're going to ring-fence a certain proportion of funds for the anti-corruption sector. Let's put some grit to what we are saying. Make it a policy proposal that is tangible. Otherwise, they get into government, and even though, let's say, the leader of government says that this is what I want to do, you then find other sections of his government kicking against it, working against it, and at the end of the day, the anti-corruption sector suffers. So we want to see much more competence.
Now, the national chairman of the opposition National Democratic Congress, Asiedu Nketia, has accused appointees of the ruling government of stashing money to influence voters on December 7th. He's urging voters to accept the gift but prioritize development over monetary gains by voting against them. Mr. Nketia said this at Adambrombe in the Ekuapem South constituency of the Eastern region, from where Kofi Sian joins us now. Kofi, what evidence did NDC national chairman give to prove that the NPP is stashing money to influence voters?
Okay, so practically, Mr. Asiedu Nketia failed to give any or provide any proof or evidence to that effect. But what he says is that the fact that Honorable Cecilia Adapa was arrested with cash in his room is enough reason for him to believe that the NPP and its officials have stolen money and kept it in their rooms waiting for December 7th to, give it to the voters to influence their decision to vote for the ruling government. But according to him, he said that people should accept the monetary influence, but, urge them to vote against the ruling government so that they will know that stealing money from the public isn't a good thing one should practice.
And Kofi, what is the national chairman doing there in the Eastern region?
Okay, so the national chairman, according to him, is on a nationwide campaign tour, across the country. What he says is that he's beginning the campaign tour from the Eastern region and specifically from Adambrombe in the Ekuapem South constituency of the Eastern region. His reason is that he's someone who hails from the remote areas, and once he comes from there, he can only complement the flag bearer of the party by also campaigning in remote areas such as Adambrombe and its environs. So the campaign for the national chairman is starting in the Eastern region, that is Adambrombe in the Ekuapem South constituency. From here, he's moved to Pokrom, one of the constituencies also in the Ekuapem South constituencies. And what he seeks to do is to garner vote for the NDC and its flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama.
Thank you so much, Kofi Sian, coming to us live from the Eastern region. Now, moving on, the West African Examination Council says it would ensure all rules governing the ongoing exams are strictly adhered to. This comes after 15 candidates who were late to their exam center at the Osu Presbyterian High School exam this morning had to stay outside the exam hall for almost an hour until WAEC officials stepped in. Though they were permitted to write a social studies paper, WAEC says it would not countenance disregard for exam rules. My colleague Prince Koduga joins us with more on this. Prince, what is the status of these students who were withheld from entering the exam hall for a whole hour before the officials intervened?
Okay, currently I'm at the Laboni Senior High School here. Currently I'm at the Laboni Senior High School here in Accra. Earlier this morning we were at Osu Presby Senior High School, where some 15 students were kept outside for almost over an hour for coming in late. Here also at the Laboni Senior High School, the situation was not different. Some 7 students were not allowed to write the paper because they came in 1 hour after the exam started. We were told that these students, some said they were coming all the way from Dodowa, some were coming from far places. And so they were not allowed to write the paper. They have to resort to writing govt and other private examinations for this exam paper, social studies, which is the first course subject they are writing for today. Now here at the Labodi Senior High School, I have here the headmistress for the school, Madam Roslyn Aqua, who is joining me live. Rejoice Aqua, Madam Rejoice Aqua, who is joining me live on why those students must or have to be denied access into the exam hall. Madam, thank you for your time. Good afternoon. Here on JoyNews, we are live. Why are those students not allowed to write the exam?
The name is Rejoice Aqua Akolo. We gave the students a WIAC briefing. We took them through the rules and regulations governing the exam. And we told them they should be here at least 30 minutes before the start of the paper. They should be seated 30 minutes before the start of the paper. And the students came over an hour before the start of the, and the reasons they came with were not tangible. It is not the desire of any head of school or any teacher to see a student not to go through education in 3 years and not to write an exam. We don't want it like that. It is our desire that all students will write the exam and do well. But this is the case when they came almost 2 hours to the start of the paper. We wouldn't want to fall out of the rules governing the examination. So we had to get them to stand out. This is not our wish for them. So they've been advised to go and prepare and come to write the afternoon paper, which is the objectives. Yes.
These students, 7 of them have lost the opportunity to write the social studies exams. They will not have to resort to govt or other distance. Now, one information I'm picking up is that some students are getting the questions before time and that they are sharing. And have you come to your notice?
Well, as to that, not in Laboni, not as I know in Laboni. That could happen elsewhere. If you stay out of an exam over an hour, what were you doing outside? I don't know how the means they get the papers from, but I cannot disagree with that assumption, though. But we want them to be seated. We are all around. As a supervisor of the exam, I need to conduct the exam in a more conducive atmosphere. And I am not happy that the students came that late. We were all over everywhere looking for them, only for them to surface in group that late. And this is not the first time they have come late. Some of them are visual art students. When they were writing the practical exam, that same group of people.
Well, if you're a parent or a student, ensure your wards get to the exam centers at least 30 minutes before time. That is according to the headmistress over there. Now, my colleague, Prince Kudega, bringing us that live report from Laboni Senior High School. Now, in other stories, residents of Mankraso in the Ashanti region are pleading for security beef up following a growing trend of robberies on gold dealers in the area. On Friday, August 23rd, 1 person was killed and 4 others wounded after 3 robbers besieged and robbed a gold buying shop. According to eyewitnesses' accounts, people present at the shop attempted to resist the operations of these robbers, leading to a sporadic shooting by the robbers. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku joins me on the line via Zoom this afternoon with more on this. Emmanuel, what's the current condition of the 2 who are receiving treatment as we speak?
All right, so Sweetie, when I got in touch with the brother of one of the persons who was shot, he tells me that this morning his brother is doing fine after undergoing some 2 surgeries on his wrist. And the doctors are also working to operate his chest because he sustained some wounds to his chest as well. But the other person who suffered some wounds to his abdomen also underwent some surgeries on the day the incident happened. But yesterday, he was bleeding profusely, so they had to operate on him as well. But this morning, he's also doing fine. And the doctors are hoping that once they are able to recuperate, they would be discharged from the hospital. And so that's the current state of those who were actually wounded from this particular incident. We understand the other 2, they didn't have any serious wounds, and so they were discharged on the very day. But these 2 persons are actually at the Kofanoti Teaching Hospital as we speak.
So what is the security situation in the area? I mean, since Friday, has there been any response to the call to beef up security?
Well, for now, the security situation, well, the place is calm as we speak now because I got in contact with the DC for the area, and he tells me that they have commenced investigations into this particular incident. But the residents over there say the situation in the area, they say it's not so safe for them because this is not the first time something like this is happening in the area. The robbers continually attack the gold buying shops in the area. Even some momo vendors in the area are being attacked by these robbers. And because this place is a mining community, it's a community known for artisanal small-scale mining. This particular situation, it's recurrent in the area. And so they are hoping that the police will be up to task in delivering investigations into some of these cases. And so they say that because they are not able to finalize some of these cases, the robbers are empowered each and every time to carry out these operations in the area, sweetie.
Thank you so much, Shimano Bryce Kweku, coming to us live from the Ashanti region. In other stories, the National Identification Authority says up to 110,000 Ghanaians are currently being investigated for allegedly attempting to register multiple times onto the Ghana Card Register. Appearing before the Assurances Committee of Parliament, Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority, Professor Kenneth Etuafua, also revealed there are currently nearly 18.2 million Ghanaians who've been enrolled onto the register, but almost 560,000 cards are yet to be issued to registrants. Let's take you to Parliament, where Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante is standing by with more. Kweku, it's good to connect with you. Now, what are the details of this new plan by the NIA to now register all Ghanaians living abroad?
Well, according to the Executive Secretary of the NIA, they believe that they've covered a large chunk of the eligible population in Ghana and that it is now time to go out there and register Ghanaians who are living abroad. They are starting from Canada, Ottawa, and as far as they are concerned, about 10 of their staff are going to travel by the end of this week, either the weekend or at the start of the new week, to start a pilot stage to register persons who are eligible but are not in the country as of now. They see that so many citizens who are currently outside of the country are expected to be enrolled, or they are starting in Canada, they'll move on to the United States before they come to Europe. And so that is now the ambitious drive that the NIA is embarking on to ensure that Ghanaians who are living abroad are registered onto the National Identification Register.
On the investigation for those allegedly attempting to register multiple times, is there any updates on that?
Well, no, he's just been giving the figures to the Parliament Committee because they demanded it. 110,000 persons that he says have been investigated. We understand that when the investigation is concluded and any adverse findings are made against these persons, they'll be referred to the police for prosecution.
Thank you so much, Kweku Asante, Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, coming to us live from Parliament. Now, the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Project, hailed as the country's salvation from flooding, remains largely unfulfilled due to severe financial constraints. As the Works and Housing Ministry struggles to get projects completed, some residents in flood-prone areas like Adabraka Sahara are taking matters into their own hands to protect their families. Mamie Senior Mitchell Thompson has more in our latest episode of Floods of Trauma, a Year On.
The June 3 flood disaster claimed over 150 lives, leaving behind deep scars that time has yet to heal. Today, when dark clouds gather and the first drops of rain begin to fall, the people of Odona Sahara are gripped by fear. They remember all too well the devastation that followed the rains 9 years ago.
When the rain started, I was in the house, but I didn't want to see it rise, so I went to the school to stay there for the rain to subside. So I was in the house, the school, when the blast, the blast was close to where I was at the time, when the explosion happened.
"65-year-old Theophilus Teiko, a retired teacher, narrowly escaped death that night. He took shelter at his school before the floods took over. After agonizing hours of wait, he returned to a home wrecked beyond recognition.
The compound, we were in the upstairs when the flood, the compound was already flooded. If you want to come to the roadside, you have to pass through the waters. But they said maybe there could be an electrical something in the water, so we all went back. So I didn't come out from the school, but now the water was still rising. When I came home in the morning from the school compound, the level to enter the house was on my chest. And people who were here were saying that, okay, you could at the time see the level, it was above the window lantern level. The mark was there. But when I got here to enter the compound, the water was on my chest level.
It was a tragedy that exposed the vulnerabilities of our infrastructure. Homes were destroyed, families torn apart, and lives lost. Yet, promised solutions have yet to fully materialize. Government pledged to undertake some flood mitigation measures to prevent future disasters under the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project, GARID. In all, it will take government $6 billion to permanently resolve the canker. However, consistent flow of funding is a major hurdle.
And the Hydro Fund is supposed to help us mop up some more resources to complement what government gives us every year. I think the National Flood Control Program itself has only done 3 rounds, 2018, 2020, and 2023. And it's very, very limited. If you take the Greater Accra region, for example, for all the drainage works, the concrete drainage works that need to be done, only 2% of it has been done. 2%. And so that tells you that we don't have enough well-structured channels to get water out every time there is rainfall.
The Works and Housing Minister, Kojo Oponkroma, confirmed receiving $150 million as top-up to the previous $200 million for GARID, but work on various projects will take time to complete.
What the fund will do is to help mop in some more resources beyond even the seed money that government put in, just about 1.5 million cedis yesterday. Some of our development partners, we've got some of the green funds around the world that are interested in climate resilience, interventions. So our objective is to crowd in some more resources to complement what government gives us on a yearly basis.
That's our latest episode of Flats of Trauma, coming to you every Monday now. Now, the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Adolescent, has disclosed that the national survey results show a reduction in anemia prevalence among adolescent girls from 48% in 2014 to 44% in 2022. He attributed this improvement to the administration of folic acid in schools for adolescents. The Ghana Health Service and its partners began administering folic acid to adolescent girls aged between 10 to 19 years in 2017 to help address the challenge of anemia among young girls in schools. And the Deputy Director General also mentioned that the program has been scaled up from the initial 3 regions to 16 regions of Ghana. There's more in this report.
The Girls Iron Folate Tablet Supplement Program, known as GIFT, is a public health intervention designed to provide adolescent girls with weekly iron and folic acid tablets to help prevent anemia. Anemia has been a health concern in Ghana for several years. It is common among children, adolescent girls, and pregnant women. Therefore, the program introduced by the Ghana Health Service was to help address the challenge. Speaking at the event, the Deputy Director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Adolfo Ofosu, said the GIFT program has helped in reducing anemia in Ghana.
GIFT provide weekly combined iron folic acid tablets to in-school and out-of-school adolescent girls. The GIFT program has had its fair share of successes as well as challenges. Coverage increased from initial 3 regions in 2017 to all the 16 regions by 2019. There was an increase in average hemoglobin concentration and a 26% adjusted reduction in anemia prevalence among adolescent girls who consume IFA over 8-month period in the survey schools. National survey results show reduction in prevalence of anemia among adolescent girls from 48% in 2014 to 44% in 2022. The program, however, despite these successes, has had its challenges, some of which include inconsistent supply chain leading to shortages of iron and folate supplements, misconceptions, and even some conspiracy theories and cultural beliefs.
The Northern Regional Health Director, whose speech was read on his behalf by the Deputy Northern Regional Health Director Administration, Mohammed Yakubu, highlighted some challenges facing the program.
The COVID-19 pandemic posed a significant challenge, including school closures and temporary disrupted the continuity of this vital program. However, the resilience shown by the stakeholders in relaunching the program post-COVID-19 is commendable. Today, as we review the outcomes of this assessment, we have an opportunity to reflect on our achievement, understand the challenges faced, and identify the areas that require further attention and improvement.
We'll pause here for a break, but still to come in business news, government misses Treasury bills targets for 7th consecutive week, but interest rates ease across the yield curve. We return with details from business news.
Ghana Today.
Now you're welcome to business. My name is Darryl Kwao. For the 7th consecutive week, the government misses auction target for Treasury bills. According to the auction results by the Bank of Ghana, the government missed its target by a marginal 1.66%. Here's more in this report.
The government got 5.203 billion Ghana cedis from a target of 5.319 billion Ghana cedis. All the bids tendered for the short-term securities were accepted. 3.725 billion Ghana cedis, representing 71.23%, were tendered for the 91-day bill. The uptake for the 182-day T-bill was, however, 1.251 billion Ghana cedis. It represented about 23.93% of the total bids. For the 364-day bill, 252.74 million Ghana cedis were tendered. Meanwhile, interest rates eased across the yield curve. The yield on the 91-day bill declined by 6 basis points to 24.78%. The interest on the 182-day bill also dipped to 26.68% from the previous weeks of 26.74%. Again, the yield on the 364-day bill also declined by 4 basis points to 27.81%.
Now, Development Bank Ghana has revealed that it will be heavy on the agri sector in the next phase of funding. The bank is setting aside more than $1 billion Ghana cedis to support the sector from next year. Kwame Duka is Chief Executive of Development Bank Ghana. He has been explaining to Joy Business why the focus on this sector.
There is really, and we can go through some of the numbers, there is really a big push into agriculture now over the last 9 to 12 months.
Help me out with the numbers, and not being specific per se, but over the period since your establishment, what has been the total support in roughly the round figures, not exact, that you have played a role in extending to the sector?
Okay, so let's give you the headline. Right? Yeah. So the headline is that to date we've lent maybe 1.6 billion Ghana cedis, right? But that's important because what that means is that if we continue at this rate, by this time next year, we'll be the largest lender in the country. If you're the largest lender in the country, you have influence. You have influence on behavior, and you have influence in terms of changing mindsets to see agriculture. And this is really important, not as a risk area, but as a business. Part of that, I think, in terms of the total that we've lent, about a third of that is into agriculture. We have
that is out of the 1.6 total lending. A third of that has gone to the agri sector.
Agri sector. The other areas are manufacturing, ICT, and high value like tourism. But our focus very much is agriculture.
All right, and that's it for this segment. More news on the marketplace up next, sports.
Time now to bring you sports here on JoyNews Today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah, flag bearer of the MPP. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia says that his office will expedite the payment meant for Ghana's Black Challenge allowances. During a meeting with the media on a Sunday, he was asked a question about the Black Challenge's difficulties in receiving their allowances, and he says he will engage the Minister of Youth and Sports to ensure that the allowances owed them are paid.
Looking at the national amputee team who are owed some allowances. So I'll talk to the sports minister here to get the facts on the issue, and if that is the case, I will try to expedite their payment. So I'll when I leave here, I'm going to raise that issue. There is also the issue of 6 new stadia that and only one of the existing 5 is being maintained. I think that is a very good question. One of the problems we have is the lack of maintenance of our pitches. I met with the Black Stars in Kumasi before their last game there, and when we met, the coach and the players were very clear that what they really needed, and this is why I've put it in our manifesto, was an international standard pitch. You know, that the pitches that we have are difficult to play on, and we needed international standard pitches. So, in fact, in the manifesto, we need to do it. And I believe that we need professional management in terms of the maintenance of these pitches. And we need to train people and also bring in the people with the knowledge. And so we are going to do that, because we just build the pitches and very little maintenance. of the pitches and the management of the pitches. So I think this is going to be one of the things that we're going to do. The building of the 5 other stadia, as I said, we've made that commitment actually as far back as 2019, that with all these new regions that are coming on board, we will have to build stadia for them to encourage sports. And I believe that we've done quite a few already in terms of the multi-purpose sports stadia. We are doing 10. We've completed 6. 4 are almost done. And we are going to do another 5. So
now let's hear from his opponent, who is the flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama. He says that his government will investigate the scandals in Ghana's organization of the African Games 2023.
We'll investigate the COVID-19 expenditure scandal. We'll investigate corruption scandals, including the PDS, Ejapa, SML, ambulance spare parts, 13th African, All-African Games, SkyTrain, Palugu Dam, mass sets, Galamsey fraud, missing excavators, missing tricycles, illegal and inflated single-source contracts, bus scandals, and many others.
Head on to myjoyonline.com for more sports stories.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline and Suma Yabwa. Now, if you missed the Chale Water Weekend, you might want to check your FOMO meter. Just as we said, you can watch more in this report.
The Chale Water Festival is like a time machine, taking us back to the roots, shaking things up in the present, and giving us a peek into a reborn future. For a whole week, from August 19th to 25th August, Accra was buzzing with the energy of creativity and cultural revival. And trust me, the party didn't stop until the last beat dropped. Patrons spoke to Joy Prime Shola Adeyemi.
Festival is about go-go.
Gaga.
Missy go-go.
Missy Gaga.
Missy go-go.
Maminti Gaga.
Go-go. 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 Now go-go, we are here at Chalote. Why did you choose to be here? I can see you beautifully, handsomely dressed in your attire. Why did we, choose to be here today?
Okay, you see, go-go is here, go-go is there, go-go is everywhere in the world wide web. So Chalote, they go on. Go-go needs to be here so that go-go will be everywhere in the world wide web. If you are not here, you make door. Tell them.
Why they for come here?
Here actually be the ish. You understand? No be that thing, no, but it be the ish for the Irish to the cream to the Irish cream.
Greenwish.
So you heard that. This is why you should be here, because it be the ish to the other ish to the Irish where they enter the brownish. Hey, Charlie.
Multimedia. You are the only media who can multiply the multiplication with the multimedia. Gogo is everywhere in the world wide.
From Floor Kingstone's Flow to Dance God Lloyd and the DWP Academy, showing us what it means to move, the stage was on fire. And who could forget the legendary Akablé and his Adiza band, whose strings took us on a soulful journey. Chale Water 2024 wasn't just a festival. It was a living, breathing showcase of our heritage. For Joy News, I am Jacqueline Ansuma Yabwa.
Well, mark your calendars because the most wonderful time of the year is officially here. The Ghana Tourism Authority has just unveiled the 6th edition of the December in Ghana event and festivities calendar. And trust me, this year's lineup is hotter than a December sun in Accra.
Since its debut in 2019, the Beyond the Return initiative has been a cultural bridge bringing together Ghanaians and the diaspora under one big African sky. This year's theme, a decade of African Renaissance, promises to keep that spirit alive with even more energy and excitement. According to the CEO of Ghana Tourism Authority, Accuses, this year's initiative has not only boosted tourism, but has also become a significant driver of our economy. He said this as he took guests through the events for this year.
And so that is also another interesting one from the 28th and the 29th. Then we have Africa Rising, then a gifted crafted kids show, and then the vinyl. The good thing about December at GH is that it doesn't end in December. So it continues in January. We have our Guba Diaspora Conversations Conference. After people have finished all the parties, this is the time to sit down and talk business. And so this Diaspora Conversation is a very interesting one for all of us because we get all the various agencies, Lands Commission, Tourism Authority, JIPC, all the public sector agencies are there for the diaspora to ask them questions.
And the excitement doesn't stop there. The Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Andrew Ejapa-Mercer, also took to the stage, reaffirming the government's dedication to making Ghana the go-to destination for both international and local tourists.
Yes, that showcasing the importance and the contribution that the dream of initiating the year of return and the beyond the return is such a big deal that we need to trumpet it really hard. And so it's exciting that I am here today, and I can assure you that my ministry remains resolutely committed to enhancing and promoting our nation as a premier destination for international and local tourists alike.
With a calendar packed full of activities from music festivals to cultural showcases, December in Ghana 2024 is set to be a season to remember.
On that note is a wrap for the showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline, and Smart Yeboah.
And that's how we're wrapping up for Joy News today. But for more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. Over there, you'll find current stories like the Interior Minister denies allegations of plots to rig December elections, as well as the only thing left to win corruption fight is political will, according to Dr. Kwame Ansa Asante. My name is Sweetie Abochi from our studios here in Kokomimli. It's bye for now.